Welcome, everyone. I'm Tracy Fitzpatrick, and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's event, Cisco and Splunk for Next-Gen Threat Detection. Presenting today's topic is Wesley Van Straten. Wesley is an accomplished cybersecurity and network infrastructure instructor with over 20 years of experience delivering high-quality training in Cisco, Checkpoint, and EC Council courses. His expertise in Cisco spans critical areas such as enterprise, service provider, security, and collaboration technologies, where he has successfully trained students worldwide. With a proven track record in both in-person and virtual instructor-led training for various authorized training centers, Wesley has helped countless learners achieve their certification goals and enhance their career prospects. Now, please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic. We offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored to your specific requirements. If you are interested in a further discussion, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you'll get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. Netcom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adapting to change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We do have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. And today's presentation is from the security practice area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio of courses for the topic being covered today. Our upcoming classes include various trainings on the given courses. You can also access a variety of marketing assets, such as the free training and blogs, by clicking on the available event handout. These offerings can be found with a simple search on our website at netcomlearning.com. This webinar will explore the advanced strategies for intelligent threat detection and preventing using AI-powered network security technologies, leveraging the combined expertise of Cisco and Splunk. Attendees will discover how the integration of Cisco's comprehensive networking solutions with Splunk's powerful data analytics enhances threat visibility, accelerates response times, and fortifies your security posture against evolving cyber threats. And now I would like to give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To begin with, you do have the option to view in full screen by clicking on the full screen button on the right side of the GoToWebinar viewer. Simply hit the escape key to exit the full screen. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions pane, and we will address them at the end of the session. And to get the best out of today's events, we've included the slides, courses we talk about, and marketing assets in the handouts section of your GoToWebinar viewer. You may refer to them at any time to get a better understanding of today's topic. And we do realize that some of you may have to leave early and want to let you know that as you do leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to take a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience and improve our future sessions for you. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. And now I'd like to pass this over to our trainer to present today's topic. Hey, Wesley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tracy. We are about to get into a webinar for the Cisco and Splunk for next generation detection. Thank you everyone for joining the session. My name is Wesley van Straten, and I'm a cybersecurity expert with Netcom, and I'm looking forward to give you some insight into the ecosystem that is Cisco and Splunk, and also have a focus on threat detection specifically as it relates to these two very, very powerful technologies. Thank you very much. I am about to jump into the agenda. The agenda should be on the screen, and also it's important that you guys also understand that there will be a Q&A session afterwards where we will be taking some live questions, and we'll be having a look at some of the answers for those Q&A sessions. So the agenda for today, or for this webinar, would be an overview of the Splunk security ecosystem, understanding threat detection, seeing that this is the focus that we want to have a look at in this section, and it invariably is going to branch out to some other security discussions as well, because security is an ecosystem. And Splunk understands that very, very well in terms of its ability to interact with various vendors and endpoints and devices in order to give you the ability to perform top-notch threat detection. That's what we'll be looking at in point number 2. I would also be looking at some advanced threat detection, some examples that just to showcase the capabilities of the Cisco Splunk solution and how powerful this is. It is second to none in the industry, and this marriage between Cisco and Splunk is something to be excited about. Thank you. I would like to move on to the next slide, which should be on the screen round about now. It's looking good. It is looking good. So herewith, just a quick overview of Cisco Splunk security technologies. And see, we've kind of structured this as just the fundamentals. Identification of the relationship between Cisco and Splunk. Splunk is a data analytics platform. It's designed to collect, index, and analyze machine-generated data from Cisco's wide range of networking, security, and application tools. So following Cisco's acquisition of Splunk in March 2024, it's become such a central hub for gaining visibility and insights across Cisco's environments, helping teams to troubleshoot as well as detect security threats and optimize performance. Our focus invariably is going to be on the detection of security threats in that particular department. So together, Splunk and Cisco unifies the full power of network and endpoint data with market-leading security and observability solutions. We're also going to be looking at how the solution integrates with artificial intelligence, making this a very powerful AI-powered data platform. When I see the term Splunk, the first thing that jumps out at me, the first thing that comes to my mind is data analytics. And there's very few organizations out there that can hold a candle to Splunk's the ability to understand telemetry and convert this into data analytics that makes sense to your organization. So there is also invariably going to be a discussion around how we can leverage AI systems to maximize the efficiency and maximize the power of this already powerful tool to make sense of your network, make sense of your security landscape and strategies, and also keep a finger effectively on the pulse of your security implementation and strategy. Great. I think we are ready to get into some of the additional very, very nice features that makes up this solution that is Cisco Splunk. We'll be having a bit of a focus on the security aspect of it. And when you think of security and look at data analytics, invariably one's mind also gets taken to the SOC environment, the Security Operations Center. Now, the Security Operations Center is the central command station of your security strategy. This is where the bulk of your analytics takes place. This is where the bulk of your threat escalation takes place, threat detection, the ability to also then mitigate those threats that have been identified as true positives. That is the SOC. and Splunk, Cisco Splunk absolutely shines in the SOC environment. We get unparalleled insights for faster remediation with Splunk security products, enhanced with Cisco's network, endpoint, and cloud data. We enhance your security posture also by fusing threat intelligence from Cisco Talos directly into Splunk Enterprise Security. That's a big deal. The industry has been screaming as of the acquisition back in 2024. When will Cisco go to market with Cisco Talos integration into Splunk analytical capabilities? And I'm happy to report that this has now been fully implemented. Most of the features have been implemented late last year, and the rest of the features, some of which we'll be getting into slightly later on, gets into a full implementation of Cisco Talos Threat Intelligence, cyber threat intelligence that's been fully integrated into Splunk as of January this year, 2025. Very exciting stuff. Great. Getting into the next slide, we're looking at observability for any environment. So Cisco Splunk delivers seamless digital experiences and prevents downtime, because when you understand what's happening in your environment in terms of the traffic patterns, in terms of how applications are behaving, whether they exist in the cloud, whether they exist locally in your environment, Cisco Splunk understands your network end to end. And now that Splunk also is more tightly integrated into the Cisco ecosystem, it just makes 100% sense to leverage these tools in an environment that already leverages the power of Cisco tools and equipment. It does offer the most comprehensive full stack observability solution set for any environment. Although there is a bit of an adjoinment at the hip between Splunk and Cisco, there is also a flavor of supporting third-party technologies as well, because Cisco and Splunk fully understands that clients that are running a mixed vendor environment also wants the telemetry from those third-party solutions, vendor Y, vendor X, vendor Z, to also feed into the Splunk analytical capabilities. And that, I think, also makes it a very powerful solution, not only for customers that are full on Cisco customers running a nice Cisco garden, but also some of the other solutions invariably that can also take full advantage of the marriage between Cisco and Splunk. Just looking at the next slide really quickly. Before we continue, I just want to just quickly identify one of the big core strengths, I believe, with the ability to utilize Splunk in Cisco environments is that Splunk brings with it very powerful data analytical capabilities. It effectively offers us a single pane of glass for real-time and historical analysis, making sense of Cisco's complex data landscape. So where you can almost think of Splunk as acting like a master conductor, orchestrating the symphony of data from Cisco's hardware and software into harmonious insights. So Splunk readily transforms raw data from Cisco devices into clear, actionable intelligence, whether for monitoring, network health, or for responding to incidents, which we have a special focus on in this webinar for you today. There's also elements around AI, the AI revolution. And Cisco and Splunk is very well known for early integration of AI, artificial intelligence, as well as machine learning into the analytical landscape. And it's meant to happen. AI is meant to be looking at those analytics and telemetry, identifying, for example, architectural design issues within the environment, or to better your architectural design, looking at and also hunting down threats in the SOC environment. So it's not limited to just security. It looks at your entire network environment and gives you the predictive intelligence required to make intelligent decisions as to the destination that you want to see your network in at some point in the future, whether that is a service provider environment, whether it's an enterprise environment, whether it's one of the biggest, most demanding environments or networks, multinational conglomerate organizations that requires a solution to function at scale. Splunk is just one of those solutions that have been around the block a couple times. Existing customers love Splunk, and of course also when it comes to deploying this in existing Cisco environments that may not necessarily have Splunk already involved, it's going to be a very powerful union in getting you that single pane of glass once again to keep your finger on the pulse of the health of your entire network. And in doing so, that telemetry that is inbound from your routers, from your switches, from your firewalls, right down to the endpoints, also invariably gives you the edge in making sure that you have the ability to detect threats as and when they arise. A typical time to detection in the industry is currently pegged at around 200 days. And with the threat intelligence integration that we see with Splunk and Cisco, Cisco Splunk serves to bring down that mean time to detection to no more than 48 hours. No more than 48 hours. Worst case scenario, 48 hours. Of course, first prize would be immediate notification that a threat is playing out in your environment, and time is money. We need to be able to deliver mitigation techniques and countermeasures the moment when threats are detected. But the battle is half won the moment when we know of these anomalies and indicators of compromise or indicators of attack. And that's where Splunk absolutely shines. Again, Splunk has been around the block a couple times. They are a well-known SIEM. They're a well-known SOAR solution, fully integratable within Cisco environments, even before the acquisition of Cisco acquiring Splunk. And it's something that I think we've all wanted to see in the industry, is the awesome telemetry that can be delivered by a Cisco environment and Cisco devices and Cisco solutions, and making it natively available into a powerful data analytical solution such as Splunk. Great. So I think we can move on into understanding some of the threat detection strategies that makes up the Splunk tool. So Splunk's workflow, first and foremost, before we get into anything else, I just want to share with you just a workflow that is typical of a Cisco Splunk implementation, and it's all focused around efficiency. So first up, we would be looking at data ingestion, where we've got the ability of Splunk to gather data via syslog, netflow, application programming interfaces, or lightweight agents from Cisco devices and applications. Splunk has the ability to also store data in a structured, searchable format, tagged by source type and time for quick retrieval. The ability to also make sense of this information through analysis by utilizing Cisco Splunk's search processing language for query data. Think of filtering for specific errors or patterns that Splunk absolutely excels at. And then, of course, also making sense of this, the results of the analysis by providing visualization, presenting these insights into tools like dashboards, alerts, or reports. And we can also think of graphs, for example, that looks at traffic spikes or instant notification of security events. It is indeed a seamless pipeline. Data flows in, Splunk processes it, and you get answers fast. Okay, then we are looking at understanding threat detection strategies. So the focus here is understanding the capabilities of the Splunk solution, which translates into what kind of threat detection capabilities is this tool really capable of. So some of the key features of Splunk in the Cisco ecosystem includes a unified view that combines data from Cisco's networking, security, and application layers into one platform for comprehensive visibility. And that effectively is the key word. If I were to sum up Splunk in one word, it'll be, well, two words, would be comprehensive visibility. Absolutely love that. And Splunk is true to that mission. Complete visibility and across the entire fabric of your network. And only then do we have a, a powerful chance of detecting threats wherever they may raise their ugly heads within your network environment, and protect the soft, mushy inside center of your network. That's really what this is about, right? It is about protecting that which makes your organization competitive and protecting your competitive advantage. Cisco Splunk includes a common framework for interacting with data and invoking actions. As per the slide, there's adaptive operations that enables your security teams to quickly and confidently apply changes to your environment. And there's also Splunk Enterprise Security, known as ES for short, that can then get into automating the responses as well, that allows you to be able to respond to attacks in real time and in kind, all the while giving you the ability to also leveraging the event monitoring capabilities within Splunk to identify that this is a high confidence attack, and that you are taking action against an actual threat that is an actual true positive within your environment. Great. There's also the ability to drive AI into this, AI-driven analysis, where we use machine learning to detect outliers like unusual traffic patterns, and then also use this to forecast problems. And of course, then take action on those problems identified before they become a problem. So the idea is to take today's modern security engineer, and instead of getting our engineers to run around, chase fires day in and day out, get them to a point where we can prevent fires before they even start. I see in the diagram, they've got some additional points where we can consider telemetry in Splunk that relates to identity and access. Think of the Cisco ISE. We can look at endpoints that looks at lightweight security agents deployed to endpoints, where we can also consider telemetry, not just from Cisco appliances, but also directly from the endpoint layer, whether that may include guest users, BYOD devices, even IoT deployments can also forward telemetry onto Splunk. We've got orchestration capabilities. From an orchestration perspective, this is the programmatic architecture, the ability to automate, the ability to respond to tasks, the ability to automate your analytical capabilities. And we also have, let's take two or three more. We've got the WAF and app security. That's your web application firewalls. That specifically is tasked with securing the web applications within your public-facing, let's say, e-commerce solution. So your public-facing web servers can also be specifically targeted for telemetry analysis to make sure that access to your web application is happening as expected. So offsetting and also proactively monitoring against detections around SQL injection, for example, cross-site scripting, cross-site forgery attacks, you would then be able to pick up very, very quickly, utilizing the analytical capabilities and integration options with existing WAF and app security solutions. One that's close to my heart at current moment is threat intelligence. Without threat intelligence, we don't really know what we're looking at. We don't really know what to look for in our analytical data or within the data set that we want to analyze. So Cisco has fully integrated their research and development department, referred to as Cisco Telos, or known as Cisco Telos, fully integrated into Splunk so that the latest cyber threat intelligence is available to us at your fingertips, utilizing Splunk's analytical capabilities with the cyber threat intelligence that is Cisco is a leading force in the industry as it relates to cyber threat intelligence. Now, I wasn't really planning on saying this, but also Cisco is a founding member of the Cyber Threat Alliance. So Cisco is serious when it comes to threat intelligence. And they are, in terms of global market share, the absolute leader when it comes to not just their security portfolio, but moving telemetry from all of Cisco's customers into Cisco Talos, which could amount to millions upon millions of submissions per day, and analyzing this to identify the latest and greatest threats and push this out to Splunk for detection capabilities so that you're always protected against the latest and greatest threat as and when they raise their heads in the wild. Great, I think we can move on to the next section. Let's have a look. So over here, we're still on the discussion around understanding threat detection strategies. And we thought a good idea to focus on the capabilities of Splunk in terms of their security suite. The fact that Splunk has for many years maintained a orchestration and automation tool known as their SOAR, security orchestration, automation, and response. And also, Splunk is not new when it comes to deploying SIEMs, when it comes to monitoring and deploying solutions that are specifically geared towards assisting security operations within a SOC environment. There's Splunk Security Essentials. There is also Splunk Enterprise Security, which is a very, very well-known tool in the industry. And now it is under the auspices of Cisco as Cisco Splunk ES. Great. Looking at some of the other diagrams, we're looking at Splunk's mission control, where we need to make sense of inbound data and process this within the Splunk SIEM or within the Splunk SOAR, some of the security apps, and of course also any future developments that becomes part and parcel of the Splunk tool under the Cisco umbrella. And there's constant development. There is very few companies that outspends Cisco when it comes to research and development into security, into their security portfolio, cyber threat intelligence, and making sure that you have the latest and most powerful security solution and detection capabilities as it relates to the entire Cisco portfolio, which now includes Splunk, which now includes invariably Splunk. Okay, I think we can move on to the next slide. Let me have a quick look. So we're looking at, we thought it a good idea to just give you some examples. Some of these examples were taken from Splunk directly. So it's got Splunk's, I guess, their stamp of approval. So we've got some of the MITRE attack tactics that we see on the right-hand side that relates to a quick identification, an example of how to quickly identify what kind of potential threat or indicator of compromise are we looking at as Splunk has identified a potential breach in the organization. So this aligns to the MITRE attack tactics that aligns to exfiltration of data and command and control. And we're looking at the ability to detect connections to a new domain. And effectively, we are trying to detect potential threats to the organization as it relates to a user or an entity within the organization that is attempting to connect to a, let's say, website that's completely new. It's a website that our users typically don't connect to. It doesn't mean it's an attack. It just means, well, that's interesting traffic that is outside of the baseline, outside of the accepted parameters for our organization. That is worthwhile. It's worth our while to go and investigate this. So in most organizations, excuse me, the percentage of new domains is quite small. So however, if you send alerts to the analyst in investigation, it would be overwhelmingly because of the focus of new domain alerts that we want to focus on. Is this new domain that users are accessing a known distributor of malware? If it is, well, then we need to start looking at escalation and mitigating this. If it is a new domain, but it's perfectly in line with the company policy to access this domain, then we apply, of course, based on the telemetry provided by Splunk, we can then make changes to our policy so that we can limit the amount of false positives that invariably arises also from time to time. Great. So the ability to detect new domains is very, very straightforward. And we can use the built-in mechanisms, the built-in capabilities and policy elements to specifically look at known domains according to a block list provided by Cisco Telos, and also immediately get notifications when users are hooking up to domains that we know, as per Cisco's threat intelligence capabilities, are known bad actor domains. Some of the data sources that would readily feed into this would be web proxies, as well as next generation firewalls. Think of Cisco's ASA, as well as Cisco's Firepower threat defense devices. Looking at some of the more, some additional advanced threat detection use cases, we can also successfully detect logins of accounts for former employees. Well, that would raise alarms. If it's a former employee, what business do they have logging into their account? It could be a couple of reasons, but none of them would be good. It could mean that their credentials were compromised at an earlier stage, or it could mean that the employee themselves are trying to log in to take potentially inappropriate or malicious actions. Either way, this is definitely something that you want to be able to detect. So some of the data sources will include Windows security, depending on the operating system that's being used to attempt login. In most cases, you would be looking at a Windows endpoint, but it could very well be iOS, it could be Android, it could be Linux, it could be Mac. So a great many different data sources are supported in the world of Splunk. The MITRE attack techniques and tactics would include confirming valid accounts, potential account manipulation, credential access, and also looking out for potentially a threat actor that is trying to perform privilege escalation of a previously compromised account, which is now the former employee, but the attacker doesn't know this, and the privilege escalation technique can be easily picked up by the Splunk Security Essentials solution. Great. I'm just having a look at the advanced threat detection, our third example that I would like to get into. Looking at this, we're looking at the MITRE attack tactics. So for the audience members that is familiar with MITRE attack tactics, probably no introduction is needed, but I'm just thinking, well, maybe some of the audience would not be familiar with this. Maybe some of the audience would be C-suite personnel, people that make business decisions. So let's have just a quick look before we sink our teeth into this example. The MITRE attack framework is a framework that allows us to identify common tactics, techniques, and procedures that attackers would typically use to target your high-risk assets. It typically is preceded by risk analysis, and there's a great many Cisco courses you can sink your teeth into that specifically shows us how to perform risk analysis for the organization. Looking at things like annualized rate of detections and compromises versus the projected impact of an attack versus the likelihood of the attack, specifically over the space of a year in most cases. And once we've got an understanding of the assets and the associated risk levels, we can focus our policies and focus the gaze of Cisco Splunk on those assets, and then specifically hunt for anything out of the ordinary spikes, anything that does not match the accepted parameters for how an application behaves, or how a web application is accessed, or how an exchange between a customer and a server, or an employee and a website, for example, plays out as seen by a next generation firewall like the ASA or Cisco's FTDs, high power threat defense devices. In getting back to the advanced threat detection example, so now we're armed with not just Cisco Talos's cyber threat intelligence, but also it gives us a view when a compromise is detected. The MITRE ATT&CK integration into Splunk allows us to also track the logical progression of the attack to allow us to implement a cyber kill chain and mitigate this attack in the most effective way possible with actionable intel based on actionable intelligence provided by the Cisco devices integrated with Splunk. Looking at the data exfiltration example, so data exfiltration usually occurs over standard channels, with insiders uploading data to Google, other file sharing sites, and because HTTP is always allowed out, exfiltration becomes relatively easy in many organizations. Not always the case, but in many cases, HTTPS can be taken advantage of. There's no such thing as a 100% secure encryption mechanism. It does make it more secure, but attackers do have their ways in also potentially compromising an already encrypted exchange. Okay, so let's see. We've got a nicer scenario that plays out. It could be that we are looking at an alert that fires up, and it could very well be that it's just a user that's uploading photos of, let's say, a vacation, for example. I see they mentioned that in the example, but it could be anything. It could be absolutely anything. Maybe family pictures. Maybe they've been to the boss's wedding. Who knows? So in response, many analysts would look in a SOC environment, would see that this data was transmitted from a source to a target. And we need to then offset this against, well, to what extent has this user accessed this particular website in the past? If it's a brand new site, obviously the alarm bells comes up and we have ourselves an indicator of compromise. Now, it's important to note that an indicator of compromise does not necessarily mean it is malicious. It's just interesting. It's an interesting event involving interesting traffic patterns that we should investigate further because it's outside of the norm. Great. So often analysts will then call the user to confirm, say, hey, why did you do this? For example, and preferably with knowledge regarding the employee status in the organization. So if an employee is on a performance plan or reaching the end of their contract, that would raise alarm bells in addition. So we would look at this and say, well, if this user is about to leave the employee of the organization and all of a sudden there's spikes in the amount of traffic that is being transmitted from their account, it doesn't mean it is an attack. It just means we need to go check to make sure that data is not being exfiltrated. And we also need to utilize Splunk, the DLP capabilities and the ability to integrate with Cisco's data loss prevention or DLP technologies to make sure that nothing unbecoming is happening here. So kind of, sometimes in these sessions, you would look at this and say, well, maybe we need to have a focus on considering everything as malicious until it's proven not. But it's like somebody buying clothes, going to a department store. If they pick up some clothes and they move around the department store, the clerk would have a look and say, oh, well, we've got a customer that's got some items they're probably going to buy at some point. The clerk will automatically become more suspicious when the user picks up more clothes and slowly moves towards the exit. Doesn't mean that the user, the client or the customer is going to make a dash for it. It just means, well, just keep an eye on it. And that's the exact focus that we have with the details that we see within Splunk. It's it's just interesting traffic. It's out of the ordinary. Keep an eye on it and make sure that nothing is happening there that actually translates potentially to a data exfiltration. They also go on to say that if you have SSL inspection turned on your gateway or a DLP system, you can sometimes see the actual files that were transferred. And that is also very, very helpful, because looking at the actual files, you'll be able to identify whether this file is innocent, whether maybe steganography attempts were utilized to hide traffic, maybe alternate data streams may have been potentially utilized to further hide information within that file. And there is undeniably also a requirement on the part of the analyst to specifically look for these attempts and gel the analytical data, the telemetry that the Splunk solution brings to the table. I think at this juncture, let's have a look at, I think we are essentially done with this, but I just want to add more information. I am really excited about the Splunk solution. Cisco has acquired Cisco Splunk for a phenomenal amount, and Cisco sees real value. And Cisco often does not enter an industry if they don't see themselves becoming either the largest or the second largest player in that industry. And Cisco, at this point in time, with their proven track record of security solutions, they have just positioned themselves as the king of data analytics. And they went to market very, very quickly, where they purchased Splunk in middle 2024, and they effectively already went to market. So by January of 2025, we already started seeing full integration with practically all of Cisco's solutions, from Cisco ICE all the way through to Threat Connect, all the way, which is a threat intelligence platform with Cisco, all the way through to Cisco XDR, extended data and recovery, which allows us additional telemetry to be shared with Splunk as it relates to your ability to analyze threat level information specifically. That's where Cisco XDR absolutely excels. And I can mention the list goes on. Firewalls, the Cisco ESA and WSA solutions, they all gel perfectly, providing full visibility into your security strategy and your network environment as a whole. A single pane of glass indeed. I think just wrapping up before we get into the Q&A session, good people, we have, in closing, I just want to say that Splunk in the Cisco ecosystem, it's undeniably a game changer. It's essentially turning the flood of data from Cisco's routers and firewalls and applications into clear, actionable insights. It bridges networking, performance monitoring, and of course, our special interest in this webinar, which is security, and it all the while offers real-time visibility and AI-driven foresight. So with Cisco's ownership, Splunk is evolving into an even tighter partner, streamlining how teams manage and secure Cisco environments. So whether you're chasing network glitches or thwarting cyber threats, Splunk's your go-to tool in Cisco land. With this, I would like to thank you. I believe we also have some time for a Q&A, which will be coming up momentarily. Thank you.
Thank you. That was most informative. Now, I know everyone is looking forward to the Q&A session, so go ahead and start putting in your questions into the question panel. And while you're doing that, I'd like to give the presentation rights over to Natika Singh, our Deputy Manager Product Marketing, who's going to introduce our promotions and webinar-related courses.
Thank you for extending the opportunity to speak with the audience today. I hope the session was informative and it added value to your learning experience. You can watch the event recording by clicking the Access Recording button here. Now, I would like to highlight Netcom learning capabilities and why we are the best when it comes to training and learning services. Recognized by Microsoft as the winners of the Partner of the Year awards 2 years in a row, 2023 and 2022, we excel in guiding organizations to achieve peak performance while addressing their challenges through comprehensive organizational learning solutions. Our dedication since 1998 has led us to service over 80% of Fortune 1000 companies and served 100 plus US military bases. We have trained over 1 million professionals and helped 36,000 plus organizations achieve their business goals. We have a huge portfolio of more than 3,300 certified trainers who are subject matter experts in their domains. Our dedication to providing customized learning methods is why we are awarded as the top 20 IT training companies by trainingindustry.com. Moving ahead, being a platinum learning partner of Cisco, I would like to announce our upcoming schedules of Cisco training that you can explore through this handout. To add value to your learning curve, we encourage you to leverage free on demand training and blog on Cisco certifications. If you would like to maximize your Cisco ROI with unlimited access to in depth training and hands on labs, then enroll in our Cisco U Essentials and Cisco U All Access subscriptions. Cisco U is a digital learning experience that recommends personalized content for each learner spanning through Cisco and Cisco adjacent technologies, including unlimited access to hands on labs. Cisco U is more than just a digital learning subscription. It's a thriving community of learners and creators for learning and growing. As a Cisco Platinum Learning partner, Netcom Learning helps organizations purchase authorized Cisco training with Cisco Learning credits to increase the technical competencies of their employees and deliver greater technology returns. Cisco Learning Credits or CLCs are prepaid training vouchers redeemed directly with Cisco that help you purchase, redeem, and manage Cisco training courses. You can use your CLCs to upgrade your team's expertise with our authorized Cisco training available for public and private training schedules. You can also take the advantage from Learning Passport, which is Netcom Learning solution, to flexible team training. It is designed to be customized for the number of learners you train on top technology vendors like Microsoft, Cisco, CompTIA, Adobe, and more. The single package can be redeemed for over 4,000 plus official courses with a validity of 12 months. I would recommend you all to visit Netcom Learning's website for more information on our courses and certifications, free virtual events, our latest blogs and ebooks, and promotion offers. If you want to build a smarter workforce and drive business growth, I highly recommend you go through the book Building an Innovative Learning Organization by Russell Sarder, CEO of Netcom Learning. You can easily find this book on Amazon. For the latest updates on IT and business training, follow us and subscribe to our social media handles. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for guiding us through that valuable information, Natika. And now we're going to go ahead and jump right into our question and answer session. If you haven't yet, it's not too late to pop your questions into the question panel. And as we start our Q&A sessions, we're also going to launch a quick poll that we want to invite you to participate in. Doing so helps us to know how we can better serve you by telling us who might be interested in more information or in taking some additional training. In addition, we have a lot more informative webinars coming up, so please go to netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register. Can Cisco Splunk consider telemetry from endpoints and Cisco ISE?
So absolutely, Cisco Splunk does actively consider telemetry from endpoints and the Cisco ISE. So Cisco does have a great range of endpoint security agents, many of which are lightweight. They can be deployed on BYOD devices as well. That allows us to also gain insights and telemetry from those endpoints, whether they are corporate entities, whether it's IoT entities, whether it's guest entities or contractors. You have visibility all the way with all of your endpoints. It also should be mentioned that Cisco ISE is a AAA solution, and it has huge amounts of insight into authenticating users onto the network, and that telemetry can also be shared with Cisco Splunk. Full integration, a resounding yes for the question of our first our first question for today. Love that question. Love that question.
Will Cisco be integrating Splunk data analytics into their entire Cisco security portfolio?
And I would have to also say yes, absolutely. Cisco has already commenced with the process. And for example, Cisco has already integrated, as I've mentioned in one of the slides. I believe I mentioned this. If not, we're going to mention it now. But Cisco has already integrated Cisco Telos threat intelligence into Splunk as early as, I believe we said, January 2025. And this is like a go-to market of about 6 months from Cisco. So they've moved extremely quickly to go to market with Splunk integration. And that is a good thing.
Does Cisco have dedicated cybersecurity intelligence feeds that can be integrated into Splunk?
And the answer would be yes there as well. Absolutely. The thing is that some people know this, some don't. But Cisco and Splunk has had a very fruitful relationship spanning way before Cisco's acquisition of Splunk. Splunk has always made sure that intelligence and analytics from the Cisco security portfolio has always been something that you could integrate into Splunk even before the acquisition. Now we've just sealed the deal, and further and more tight integration is now happening to an extent that was not really truly possible before, because they were two different entities, two different companies, but now it's one company. So we can see that integration being much more exact and much more exhaustive, I think is the word I'm looking for. Absolutely. So just as an example, I think we may have mentioned this as well, but we have also full integration with the likes of Cisco's XDR, which is Cisco's threat intelligence platform that feeds high fidelity alerts and telemetry into Splunk's ES solution. So XDR's detections, such as, for example, ransomware or lateral movement in your environment, are then actively sent to Splunk ES, where they can be correlated with broader data sets, like, for example, additional telemetry from the endpoints, ICE telemetry, firewall logs, and this can then be utilized in full for accelerated investigation and remediation. Great. I hope that makes sense. I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for that question.
What is Cisco Global Threat Alerts, and can it be used in Splunk?
So it ties in with one of our previous discussions where we've looked at integration options with Splunk as it relates to Cisco Telos, for example, and this touches on the same aspect. So first, the short answer, it can be used in Splunk, And maybe just as a little bit of background for the rest of the group, Cisco Global Threat Alerts is a tool that helps the security analyst identify generic security breaches, typically from malware without known signatures. So we can utilize Cisco Global Threat Alerts that helps us to identify security breaches, leverages network traffic behavior analysis, and also all the while leveraging AI, machine learning, and anomaly detection. And this translates to the ability to geolocate attackers, attribute attackers, which is a fancy way of saying identify the attackers outright, which then provides also forensic data points. So to answer the question, again, it can be used to great effect in Cisco Splunk as it relates to quick threat identification and remediation. Great. I think that concludes the questions for today. Again, thank you very much for joining us on the session. We highly appreciate it and hoping to see you soon in one of our Cisco offerings in the classroom. Thank you very much.
Once again, I want to remind you that as you leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to help us by taking a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience as we are constantly looking at how we can improve our future sessions. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. We want to thank all of you for joining us today, and if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.